I was banned from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre official developer-moderated subreddit for racism and trolling. I'm going to read you my comment, and you tell me where the racism and trolling is, okay? Here we go. Let me pull it up. I have to get back to it here. Oh, this isn't it. Sorry about that. Here we go. Considering how you reacted to players telling you 3v3 is unwanted and creates a problem where none existed, I don't think you deserve respect anymore. That was my comment to the brand manager, Matt Shotcha. I don't know how to say his name. I apologize. So some context about that. Matt was basically defending some of the not good decisions for the next patch for Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And one of them is that lobbies that have 3 family and 3 victims will now be able to proceed into a game. This is terrible. The game is an asymmetrical horror game requiring 4 victims and 3 family. If the game is unbalanced from the onset, it only leads to people having a very sour and negative experience because they can think, well, if we had the other person, maybe things wouldn't have been so bad. And then the family can think, wow, that was a waste of time because there's less opportunities to get points in the game because there's less victims to kill. But that doesn't matter because when the victims are getting killed, they'll just DC and then the family won't get any points anyway. So it's a bit of a catch-on effect that just gets worse and worse. So Matt was defending this decision in another thread, and I'm referencing a separate thread from that one in which he was defending this decision. So I'm going to scroll down here now, try to find his post. I have to open it in Firefox because he blocked my account after that interaction. I guess that was too much for him. So let me see. There we go. I think this is it. So here he is explaining the change because people weren't sure what it meant. People were hoping that, oh, when 6 of 7 people are readied up, the game will start. But that's not what it means. What it means is that you can now proceed with an unfull lobby. And yep, here's the person responding. You are changing lobbies to allow them to start with 6 players. It is preferable for lobbies to collapse, so those players can complete other unfilled lobbies than to start with 6 players. And here, the brand manager is now getting in the trenches and arguing over semantics for no reason. I don't quite get it. If you are a brand strategy lead, you should be hyping up your next product. You should not be arguing with people who don't like your product. It is a generally bad look. He could be right here and it still is the wrong approach. And also, you should never address accusations like this. It makes you look like an idiot. It is unprofessional. I am a professional person. I have a license, and I would never respond in this manner. You ignore the accusations, you ignore the hostility, and you focus on the facts, because the facts are what matter. This person doesn't know that because they are not a professional person. So anyway, let's read his comment. I'm not gaslighting anyone. There's still a timer. If the lobby has 6 in it and you feel that's too much of a disadvantage, you can still quit to the lobby if that's how you would rather that end. This is only to remove the lobby auto-dumping menu, but you're free to do that if the timer is counting down. By the way, the lobby will still auto-dump if there is 3 victims and 2 family. So them saying that this removes the auto-dumping, that's not true. It only removes it in the 3v3 sense. I don't know why you would ever allow the game to be played in an an incomplete setup. Imagine if you went into Overwatch and your team had 1 person down and you're like, oh, well, you could play it, have fun. No, nobody wants to do that. Why would you even allow such a circumstance to happen? And in fact, the games don't allow circumstances like that to happen. what they either do is they give you some kind of, oh, if you lose this match, it's not going to be a big deal or something. They give you something to offset the negative, because the negative in that situation is player driven. Either the player disconnected intentionally or due to hardware failure or whatever, and they recognize that and they don't want to penalize the player. In here, they're creating a situation where it doesn't even need to exist. They don't even need to promote this 3v3 game mode. I don't understand. It's very bizarre. It almost kind of makes me think conspiratorially, but I don't really want to go that far. So now that I've talked about my interaction, I hope you can lay out your judgment if you believe that I was racist or trolling. And the where I got the racist and trolling stuff was in the mod mail that they sent me, saying that they don't allow bigotry and all sorts of other things. Maybe I can find it quick. It's a little... I have to go to my mail. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I was permanently banned and my comment was removed. The comment was removed for no insults, bigotry, or trolling. And then the mail goes on to say that the subreddit is not a place for sexism, homophobia, racism, insults, trolling, or other behavior that disrupts the community. If you feel that my comment that I read at the beginning of the video did any of those things, I would love to know. Yeah, and for this part of the video, I want to talk a little bit about consumer protections, because that's the part that kind of scares me the most, is that there is a section of the player base that are championing the developer's right to fuck over the player base. So here's a little example I have for you. Let's say you purchased a vehicle and then the dealer you purchased the vehicle from tells you that you need to return the vehicle, and the only way that you can drive the vehicle is driving on a go-kart track. And the reason for that is and they tell you that there are too many people running red lights on the streets. And in this world, this analogous world, the dealer is also directly responsible for traffic rules enforcement. So basically, they didn't do a good job enforcing, red light traffic rules and so on the road. And now you, as the purchaser of the vehicle, are only limited to driving the track or your vehicle on a go-kart track. That doesn't really seem fair, right? That's kind of weird. And I feel like in any other realm of consumer, product protections, this kind of behavior would not be tolerated. If I purchased a chair and then I was told I can only use the chair with people who are 6 foot or higher, and that anyone else can't use the chair, even though they can sit in the chair and they want to sit in the chair, it's totally comfortable. If I get told that I can't use the chair for people who are 6 foot or higher, and that's physically, doesn't let people who are below 6 foot use a chair that I've purchased, that is crazy. We would never tolerate that. But the fact that there are people defending what the developer is going to do by removing PC players from crossplay is absolutely insane to me. It is the most anti-consumer behavior I can imagine, and the one legitimate defense that I see a lot of bad defenses, but the one legitimate defense I see is people say, well, they've said it's going to be temporary. I don't buy that. I've seen historically many games say we're going to have a temporary change for things and then it'll get fixed. I can count how many times DBD, Dead by Daylight, a competitor in the genre, has had to have temporary, some characters disabled, and those characters have been disabled for upwards of a month, or other features disabled while they work on a fix. I don't think this game can survive a month of not being able for people to play with their friends. You know what's going to happen? People are just going to not play because it creates a sour taste in their mouth when they play. And that's really sad, because ultimately I think this game is incredible, but it's rough around the edges. The sound design, the animations, the character design, the way the family interacts, all the perks and stuff. I think there is so much to this game. And I really am very hopeful. I've completely deleted Dead by Daylight. I'm never going back to that dog shit game, because that game is fucking trash. I've played probably over 1,000 hours in Dead by Daylight, maybe even more than that. And It's just not fun. Sitting 90 seconds on a generator is not fun. In Texas Chainsaw Massacre, there's so many more things you can do, and I want the game to succeed. But the way the developers are going about dealing with criticism, dealing with feedback, dealing with the horrible balance and bugs in the game right now, I'm very concerned. The game is 3 weeks post-launch, and we still don't have a patch as of right now, unless I check Steam and the patch has dropped. The patch has not dropped. It's about 3 weeks now. I don't know what they're doing, but if it's going to be 3 weeks, I would expect some balance changes and some bug changes. And we're not really getting either, because the bugs they're addressing are things that should have been addressed within 24 to 48 hours. The EXP bug where you don't get EXP, what the fuck? I've somehow grinded characters to level 3 despite that bug. There's just so many little issues that any other game, any other competent developer would have fixed. And they haven't touched it at all. And before anyone goes and says they're a small studio, I've seen multiple people report that the studio is a subsidiary of other studios, and they actually have, I think, over 100 employees. That's crazy to me. I don't know what they're all doing. I think that they should be able to get out some of these bug fixes within a week, because these are glaring issues. Hitchhiker putting his bone pile on top of a ladder so you lose the interaction function as a victim. I've had multiple games as family where I can't even interact because of some weird bug, and I have to use my keyboard interaction. My controller interaction doesn't work. Luckily, I have 2 inputs. Imagine if you're playing on console and you lose the ability to use your controller interaction. You have to pull out one of those, like, the little attachment you can put like a keyboard attachment. You remember those old things, kind of like the Nokia phones, you flip it underside, there's like that little mini keyboard. You put that on the bottom of your controller and you hit the X button, and then finally you can interact again. But it shouldn't have to come to that. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. So here I am. I'm laying myself out there at the mercy of the world. Please tell me if I was wrong. I want to know, because I just don't know what's right anymore. There's so much craziness in the world with all these anti-consumer practices. It really scares me. Thanks for listening.